Hey guys, it's Marko again. Today with a proper Frost Mage guide. I was looking at my first Shadowlands guide and it feels super outdated, so it's time to make an upgrade. I'll first go over talents, then conduits, stats, then I'll talk a bit about legendary powers, which one is the best in certain situations. After that, we'll finish a video with a nice DPS demonstration for each legendary. I will only show Venthyr DPS rotation, since it's the best covenant for Frost Mages. And in the future, when I swap around my covenants, I will make DPS rotation guides with other covenants. So first, talents. First row is always the same. The same story goes with 4th, 6th and 7th row. Second row is optional and you should choose either Shimmer or Ice Flows, depending what you prefer to play. I almost always go with Shimmer. 6th row is just additional utility row. You can have additional slow in your spells, another Frost Nova or a new type of CC with Ring of Frost. Personally, for PvE content, I prefer Frigid Winds or Ice Ward. The only real DPS option we got is the 3rd row, with Incanter's Flow, Focus Magic or Rune of Power. So far, Focus Magic should be the best talent, but only if you can trade it with another Frost Mage. Basically, you buff him, he buffs you, and both of you get 10% critical strike chance and 5% additional intellect for the whole fight. And that is just called Focus Magic trade. But it's not a common sight to see a Frost Mage, and now you need 2 Frost Mages for this to work. So it's a super rare occurrence to see this talent used. But when you don't have a Frost Mage to trade it with, it's not the best talent. Then we have Incanter's Flow, and this is the best talent in my opinion for Mythic Plus, where you don't constantly hit targets, but only on fortified weeks, cause on tyrannical weeks you kinda want to have Rune of Power for the bosses. Rune of Power is the best raiding talent, and it works greatly with Icy Propulsion Conduit. We will get a lot of Rune of Powers from Icy Veins casts, and you should always pick this if you don't have another Frost Mage body and you're in constant DPS environment. Rune of Power is definitely usable in fortified weeks in Mythic Plus. It may sometimes even be better than Incanter's Flow, but I personally prefer Incanter's Flow. Now that we're done with talents, let's talk a bit about conduits, which are kinda an extension of talents. You always want to run Icy Propulsion, and other conduits don't matter as much. Thanks to Icy Propulsion, we are already able to have 100% uptime on Icy Veins, and that's a bit crazy. But the requirement for 100% uptime on Icy Veins is a really good gear for Frost Mages. Other conduit options are Ice Bite for solo targets and Unrelenting Cold for AoE. We can also go for Shivering Core for AoE situations if you need more slow. Other option, which is better DPS wise for solo targets, is going to be Soulbind DPS ability instead of second potency slot. In the case of Venthyr, Nadja with Dauntless Duelist is the best for solo targets, while Teotar is a close second with his Soulbind ability called Wasteland Propriety. For AoE situations, you want to take double potency conduits, and difference between Teotar and Nadja are minimal. Now let's see how to set up your stats for Frost Mage. It's pretty much straightforward. Get as much intellect as you can. After that, focus mainly on getting as much haste and critical strike chance, since they are by far our best stats. At the moment, we can't really hit the soft critical cap for Frost Mages, which is about 33.34% critical strike chance or about 1000 critical strike rating. But as soon as we hit it, we should get other stats up, while maintaining 33.34% critical strike chance. Sometimes we actually only need 23.34% critical strike chance, which is achievable if you're using the Focus Magic trait. But stats are quite easy, so now let's check the legendary powers. And legendary powers for Frost Mages are a thing which determines which content are you going to be good for. Unlike Fire Mages, Frost Mages need to pick if they're going to be good at AoE or solo targets, or somewhere in between. While Fire Mages are always good for all situations. So basically, if you're raiding, you will mainly need Slick Ice. It's the best legendary for solo target situations, and it's also the best on fights with small amount of cleave. At full cleave fights, it's outperformed by Freezing Wind's legendary. For AoE situations, mainly Mythic Plus, Fortified Weeks and some AoE raid fights, you want to take up Glacial Fragments. Damage from this legendary in dungeon environment is bonkers. This thing will deal anywhere from 20 to 30% of your overall damage in dungeons. And lastly, for mixed situations, certain boss fights, and in my opinion, tyrannical weeks, you should go with Freezing Wind's legendary. I recommend getting Slick Ice and Glacial Fragments on your leg slot, together with critical haste stats, and Freezing Winds on head slot, also with crit haste stats. Now I will demonstrate the DPS rotation and routine with Slick Ice on solo targets and Cleave, with Glacial Fragments on AoE and with Freezing Winds in Cleave situations. First, I'll start with the easiest, which you could see on my Twitch streams, AoE with Glacial Fragments. So in AoE packs, at least 3 targets or more, all you have to do is to spam Blizzards and Ice Lances. It's not even worth casting a single Frostbolt. Other spells that you will cast outside of those two are Icy Veins, Frozen Orb, Mirrors of Torment and Rune of Power, obviously if you're spec'd into it. The rotation should go like this: on pre-pull cast Blizzard, since this is your longest cast, followed by Icy Veins, plus Trinkets, plus Racials, plus Frozen Orb, into Mirrors of Torment, Ice Lance times 3. Blizzard, Flurry, Ice Lance spam. When your Frozen Orb is off cooldown, cast it. The same goes with Icy Veins, Rune of Power and Mirrors of Torment. Spam Ice Lance and use Blizzard as much as you can, and just use CDs as they come off cooldown. If there are only 2 targets, it's no longer worth spamming Ice Lances, you should be casting Frostbolts and keeping up your Blizzard. Here's a demonstration with 5 mobs. Just bear in mind, I can't really proc Mirrors of Torment on these dummies, so always keep in mind that you should cast 3 flurries whenever you get them. Here's my macro for Icy Veins, so you don't need to press all the buttons. Now just cast Blizzard, Frozen Orb. I'm gonna throw Mirrors of Torment, but I can't proc them here, so I'll fake cast Flurry, just so you know that you need to cast Flurry, I mean instant cast it. Just press cooldowns as they get off cooldown, and it's easy as that. Don't stress it and don't overlap your Rune of Powers, and you're good. Also, my Mirrors of Torment are coming off cooldown, and I'm gonna do the same shenanigan as I did on the pull. I'm gonna throw Mirrors of Torment, and few seconds after I'm gonna cast Flurry, just so you know that you need to use the free casted flurries. Now for Slick Ice, for solo targets, cast Frostbolt on pre-pull, use Icy Veins, plus Pots, plus Racials, plus Trinkets, plus Frozen Orb, into Mirrors of Torment, Ice Lance. After that you will DPS according to your procs and somewhat of a priority list. Use Rune of Power, Icy Veins, Frozen Orb and Mirrors of Torment off cooldown. Prioritize on removing Fingers of Frost as fast as you can, and always cast Frostbolt into instant cast Flurry, followed by 2 Ice Lances. This way 3 of your spells will benefit from Winter's Chill effect. So it's really good thing to cast it like this. Your Frostbolt will be almost a guaranteed critical, and it won't consume a stack of Winter's Chill. But this may not always be possible, especially when you're using Mirrors of Torment. In those situations, just throw Flurry without Frostbolt, and that's pretty much it. It's kinda hard to explain it with words, so now I'll try to demonstrate it. I will need to do some shenanigans in order to proc Mirrors of Torment on the tanking dummy, so bear with me.
3, 2, 1.
If my stats for Frost Mages were super good, I would almost have my Icy Veins back up now. With good gear and heroism, you can always get the second Icy Veins before spending your first one. Already a 2-target Cleave, you want to keep 100% uptime on your Blizzard in order to reduce the cooldown of your Frozen Orb. So basically, you will sometimes sacrifice Frostbolt spam for a Blizzard cast. In other words, you're putting Blizzard in front of Frostbolt on your priority list. I'll give a small demonstration now. I couldn't create this situation on my own, so I asked a friendly shaman to help me with it. I dueled him, cast Mirrors of Torment on him. Lastly, let's see how to do proper DPS with Freezing Winds legendary. The only difference between Freezing Winds and Slick Ice on solo targets is that you'll have more Fingers of Frost with Freezing Winds and less Frost Bolts due to Slick Ice cast speed bonus.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And that's it for the video. I hope I was clear and to the point. If you want to see some of my live gameplay, visit me on Twitch channel, linked in the description. Also, if you want to give me more support, I have a Patreon page now, with random benefits. Big thanks to Red Cheetah being my first Patreon. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care.